Hello, welcome to the land of Kakiak. My name is Laurel. We're back for another video in our series on syllables and spelling help for homeschool teachers. Today, I actually wanted to talk to you about inflectional endings. Okay, so an inflectional ending is an important part of our English grammar. It's something added onto the end of a base word, and it's going to modify the meaning of the word, whether it's past, present, or future tense, if it's plural, whether it's possessive. So let's go over just some common inflectional endings. All right, so for verbs, we get S, ED, and ING. For nouns, we can get S, ES for, plural, and we can get apostrophe S for possessive. I guess we can also get IES, right, for plurals. And for adjectives, we can get like ER and EST for comparative words. So verbs like, say you had the verb walk. There's walk, walks, walked, walking, right? Nouns, let's say it's bear, plural would be bears. Possessive would be bears with the apostrophe F, that's the bear's cave. Sometimes we use ES for words like fox, plural is foxes. Pony, to become plural, becomes ponies, right? And all these depend on what ending of the base word you have to modify the meaning. Adjectives, tall can become taller, and tallest. So sometimes this is going to result in a whole new syllable, right? So let's look at two words that have inflectional endings. So we have bear, right? That's our base word, right? And if we add S, we get bears, and it's plural. But this does not make a separate syllable. It's still one syllable, bears, right? We have the EA, making the A sound here, bears. So there's just one vowel sound. There's just one syllable, even though there is a base word and an inflectional ending added together. It's still just a one syllable word. Let's try another noun. Let's try the word bush. But we want to make it plural, right? So we're going to add ES because of the spelling rules, this SH, right? So words that end in like ch, sh, x, those kind of sounds. To make them plural, you add ES. And ES does make actually a whole new syllable because there is a vowel sound included. So then we get bushes. Bush is. And this sounds like is. It kind of sounds like an is sound. We don't really say bushes. Although I will talk about making syllable spelling pictures in our minds in a later video. But yeah, this is pronounced more like an I. It's like a schwa sound. And we don't pronounce, this is another fun one. We don't pronounce this bushes, It's like a U sound. Bush is. So for kids to, when you see bushes, they understand. At this point, you would have had to teach them the plural rules of nouns and how, an ES means this is a plural word. So when we see the ES, we know that is a syllable all by itself. That's an inflectional ending. And it sounds like is. Bush is. It's its own syllable. So bush here, this is actually a closed syllable, right? And you don't really have to refer to syllable division patterns, like we've been referencing, these kind of patterns. for inflectional endings because they just stand on their own. So you just circle them. You just have to learn to look for them, recognize them in the word, and circle them. Let's use that ES inflectional ending with a longer word. Addresses. Or addresses. I guess the accent depends on if you're saying she addresses the court with respect, or I was collecting addresses for my Christmas card list. So it's still, I think it's still the same. It's still the same syllable divisions, but your accent moves around, right? On those. That's fun. And that I always tell my kids like that, how you read the word or pronounce the word, you're gonna have to look for context in the sentence, like how is this word being used? And that's just something we've just been working out in our homeschool. Like that's why I always have the kids read aloud to me. And that's one of the things I'm checking for when I'm listening very carefully to their McGuffey reader lessons is because we have lots of words in English, right? They're closely related or that are spelled the same but pronounced slightly differently based on their meaning. And that really can only be learned through being familiar with the words. Like just looking at this word, you don't know where the accent is, right? You'd have to know the word in context to know how it's being used since we have so many words with multiple definitions. So that's a little bit of an aside, sorry. All right, but let's look at this one. So right away, we say this is the word addresses. It's Christmas time around here right now, so I'm thinking about Christmas cards, so addresses. So the first thing we're going to say is this is a plural word. This is plural of addresses. Okay, now let's go ahead and divide the other syllables. We know it's like if we want to do, let's say do the hum test for addresses. We know there's 3 syllables. There's 1, so we know there's at least 2 more, right? So let's look for our vowels. Step 1, look for our vowels. Well, step 1 was we looked for inflectional endings. But I see I've got a vowel here and a vowel here. I'm going to connect them to see what comes in between. I've got V, and I've got a consonant, consonant, consonant. So I've got a V, C, 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 V syllable division pattern. So in a V, C, 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 V, we are typically dividing after the first consonant here. So I've got add, and then dress is its own syllable, right? We know that the division will be here since this is its own syllable. Add, dress, is. Addresses. Addresses. Okay, what kind of syllable types are these? So addresses, this is short A. This consonant is closing off my vowel. This is closed syllable. Dress, again, I have another short vowel, address. This short vowel is closed off by 2 consonants here. This is a closed syllable as well. And this is just my inflectional ending. Let's try another one, a different type of ending. Let's talk about the inflectional ending ED, meaning a verb is past tense. ED has 3 different pronunciations. It can sound like d, t, or id. The ones that sound like id will be their own syllable because they have that vowel sound in it. And there's spelling rules for this. Let's just do a couple quick examples so you can see what I mean. Let's say we used the word walked before. We talked about walked. This ED is telling us that this is a past tense form of walk. But because of the sound that came before it, it just sounds like t, walked. And it does not make a new syllable. Walked is still one syllable. There's no vowel sound. How about the word formed? Formed. We see that it's a past tense of to form. This sound is determining how we pronounce the inflectional ending ed, and it sounds like d, formed. So those ones do not, according to our spelling rules, not all eds are going to form their own syllable. Here's one that does, though. Wasted, right? Wasted, we form that from waste plus ed, right? You know how we drop the e, we add the ed, and we get wasted. So when you are looking, when your kids are looking for words that the ed is going to form its own syllable, you're going to look for words that before it is a T or a D. So it would have to be a T or a D before the ed that gives you the id pronunciation that forms its own syllable. So we see that here, wasted. So we have waste, id. We have base word, inflectional ending, 2 syllables. It's a single syllable base word, waste. Just a fun fact. So waste, and now it's not, they may be looking at it like this is the first syllable of the word, and they might think that should be wast. But it's not, because it originally had a silent E on it, which made this A long. So just because there's some changes there, we add in a inflectional ending, that A is going to maintain its long A sound. About the word, you'll see it again. We'll use a D word that ends with the D, fade. Fade, right? Drop the E, add ed to make it faded. We see that D there means that this is going to be pronounced like id. Thanks to this D, fade, id, faded. 2 syllables. Let's look at a couple words and see if we can pick out the ones that will be the inflectional endings that will be their own syllable. Okay, wanted, pushed, willed, ended, fixed, checked. Okay, let's take a look. Which ones had inflectional endings? They all have inflectional endings, but which ones had inflectional endings that formed their own syllable? Well, wanted. You can hear it, wanted, right? That T is following this rule that if there's a D or a T prior to the ed, it will form its own syllable. So that one does, right? Check, it has the T. Pushed. Now we have an sh digraph here. Pushed. It does not form its own syllable. It sounds like the t. It is not following this rule. Willed. What came before? The double L, ul. That is not a T or a D sound. Ended. There's our D, end, and it's following that pattern. Id. Sounds like the id, yes. Fixed. The X, not a T or a D. Nope. It sounds like a T sound here. Fixed. Checked. So you got a digraph here. K. Not a D or a T. Checked. Nope, sounds like a T, not the id. So even though these all had the past tense ed inflectional ending, only 2 of them formed their own syllable. Let's look at, those were all verbs with ed. Let's look at the plurals of nouns, the s, es, and ies. Let's do houses, banks. Let's do the possessive s too. Let's do boys, messes, foxes, ponies. Okay, we're going to look at these. We're going to recognize that they all have inflectional endings, making them either plural or possessive, right? We've got one possessive here. So houses, that ES is making its own syllable, sounds like is. Banks, I recognize that it's plural, it has an inflectional ending, but it's not making its own syllable, banks. There is no vowel sound in there. So the vowel sound obviously is coming from the E here. Boys, again, it has an inflectional ending, but no vowel sound, no syllable. Messes, yeah, here it is again, messes, is. Fox is, foxes, yes. Ponies, yeah, this one's actually making its own. It's got the ease. So derivation on that. Is and ease. And that's just because the word pony, ended in an E sound, and we've dropped the Y and added in, switched it out for the I, right? And so then we've got house. So this one is 2 syllables. Banks, 1. Oops. Still 1 syllable. Boys, 1. Messes, 2. Foxes, 2 syllables. Ponies, 2 syllables. Okay, let's just quickly talk about the other 2 inflectional endings I mentioned, which was ER and EST, and est. So when you see a word like tall, tall, est, you can see the vowel there, and you know that this is an inflectional ending. Just go ahead and section it off from the rest of the base word. So we would have tall, 2 syllables, tall, est, 2 syllables. These ones always have a vowel sound. Like this is an R-controlled vowel, but it's like you hear it coming from the back of your throat, est or ist. I hope that was helpful to you in knowing to look out for inflectional endings, and don't get tripped up on that ED. That id, when the ones that make that id pronunciation are going to be their own syllable. And meet me back here, and we will let's go over glued sounds in the next video. Just something to keep an eye out for when you're looking at your words.